Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Shattered Silence Stories of Recovering Resilience. My name is Jory, and today we're going to be speaking with Vee Carlson. She's going to speak a little bit about her struggles that she went through, and I just want to give a trigger warning. We will be talking about suicide. Now we're ready. Okay.
Okay, so I initially had moved to Alaska when I was 19. So right about when I had turned 19, I was fairly married, very new. He was my second boyfriend, to be 100% honest, like in my entire life. So met him when we had worked at In-N-Out on Stockdale,
Okay.
and it was my first actual job. So I was hired there when I was 18. We had met, and in such a short amount of time, he had made this decision. Okay, well, he wanted to join the military and get enlisted in the Army. And so he had pursued that as his career path right after In-N-Out. And at the time, I was still very hesitant. I grew up in a very strict household, culturally very
Okay.
Filipino oriented. And so everything was strict. Like we had to do work 9 to 5, cool, come home, immediately either do homework for college or whatever the case may be. So at that time when I was at In-N-Out, I was also doing liberal studies at CSUB at the time, full time. And this was when they were a quarter-based system. So everything was very fast-paced. So not only was I fast-paced in In-N-Out, but also at CSUB.
Yeah.
And so everything was just back to back to back to back, super fast, everything. And then when I had got with my husband, it was 4 months in when we had dated and he ended up proposing. So
Okay.
it was a very fresh, like very brand spanking new thing. Like it took me literally a month for me to make that decision to be, okay, yeah, I do want to pursue this relationship and actually commit wholeheartedly to it. But the reason why it took me a month was because he decided to join the military. So
Right.
I was very hesitant because I was like, well, I just started my life, like barely getting my bearings, barely getting situated with my new lifestyle. I never had a childhood where I would always be out and about. Like I was a very like out home all the time, just doing academics. And the only time that I would be out would be like any extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
So that was basically my entire
Yeah.
life. So not knowing, of course, like what was going to happen thereafter of like, okay, yeah, like he proposed, but what does that entail? And so for me, I was a little excited because at the time I did take full advantage of like, okay, he proposed, this is my out. Like I'm
Yeah.
able to kind of escape my very strict household, escape what I grew up with knowing and
Yeah.
kind of, and I guess with the whole Bakersfield idea too of like, oh, well, I wanted to get out of here, right? Like everyone I feel like I've met in Bakersfield
Yeah.
wants to leave Bakersfield.
Yes. I
But
feel like that age range, you're like, okay, I'm out of high school.
yeah,
Let's get out of Bakersfield.
let's go.
Yeah.
Like I'm so down. Like I don't expect myself to come back here ever, but I ended up coming back. So initially when I had left, I was really excited, but moving up to Alaska was definitely a different environment. It was a very culture shock, environmental shock. So
Yeah.
it was something I wasn't necessarily familiar with and very scared for because going into everything was so scary.
Yeah, well, I bet even just big steps here, you're just getting married and you're moving to a brand new space. Even then, going to like a military base or whatever, I feel like that's like so nerve-wracking and like you have to like meet new people and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But going to Alaska is different because it's even more isolated.
Definitely. And it's very what I consider archaic comparatively to like everywhere here in the States, right? So over there, everything software is super archaic. Everything from the phones are super out of date.
Yeah.
The housing that we were at didn't even have air conditioning at the time because 9 months out of the year, it's complete darkness and cold.
Right.
So at that point, I was like, okay, well, at least we have a heater. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
But it was very different, obviously, from what I had grown up with because I'm so used to sunny Bakersfield, California. This is all that I've ever known. And so going to Alaska, we ended up having our son within the year that we were there. So the first year that we were up there, had my kid. It was very difficult just because didn't have any support
Yeah.
it was very hard to find people, one, to who I could rely on
Right.
in order to actually take care of my son when I was working and when my husband was working. And so it would also be at the time where we would go 3 months, maybe more out of the year, where my husband was gone because of training or just doing things that he had to do, like on post or even out of state. So
Yeah.
he would always just be traveling off and on. Like, it was hard. So
Yeah.
it would have just been me. I didn't find like a community or even a sense of like people until, well, one, he had people that he relied on also military wise, that word of mouth. I was able to like meet a lot of the wives and meet a lot
Okay.
of like the people who he had associated with as well. So it was really nice to see like, okay, I get to meet people who, one, we can have like that commonality of, okay, you're here suffering with me
Right,
in
yeah.
Alaska out of
We
all
feel the
places.
same, yes.
Exactly. And I've met so many people, and the military was very notorious for sending people who were either from Florida, from California, Texas, all the sunny and
Okay.
hot places,
Oh my
to the most
gosh.
like rural, like super secluded area
Yeah.
in the state. So I was very surprised, but like to find a lot of people who actually had come from similar places. So it was really nice to like meet a lot of people.
Right.
But at the same time too, it was difficult because, yes, a lot of them didn't decide to have a kid right away as well. Like, they wanted to take their time and kind of get situated with where they were living in order to then start a family. But I was 19, or at the time 19, going on 20, right when I became pregnant. So I was 20 when I was pregnant, became 21, and then I had my son. So I was 21 when I had my child, like, didn't celebrate my 21st birthday like every
Yeah.
other person. So, because he was born in March and my birthday's in January. So there was a few months there that I wasn't able to, have the normal 21 birthday that
Right.
everyone else did.
Yeah.
So when I had him, the first several months were perfectly fine. Like, I had support. My family decided to fly up from
Okay.
Bakersfield to Alaska just to help with, helping with everything
Yeah.
while I was recovering and healing.
How was your family with
So
all this too?
my family was not great with it initially, to be 100% honest. Like, they were very hesitant at the time too. Like, I had jumped into this relationship fairly quickly to their eyes, and to see, okay, well, she's really happy, like, yes, but because of the situation of like, well, you're getting married after only 4 months of dating him, like, do you really know him? And at the time, like, obviously, like, being 18, like, all the stars were aligned, like,
Yes,
everything just
yes.
seemed so magical and like so young, like, looking it through that young lens of like, okay, endless possibilities, right?
Right.
So it was fun. Like, it was, for me anyway, like, I knew wholeheartedly that this was the guy and my person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. But
Yeah.
for them, like, my mom took, honestly, until we moved back in 2019 for her to finally be okay with him.
Yeah.
And then that relationship kind of blossomed and became way better.
Oh, that's
so
good.
it did better. It did become better. But I grew up with 3 brothers, and so that was very difficult because
Yeah.
the age gap between me and my 2 older brothers are 13 and 15 years.
Oh, dang.
So
Okay.
they were very much my father figures growing up, as well as my stepdad, because my mom was really never home a whole lot because she would be traveling from here in the Philippines quite
Okay.
frequently in my childhood. And so she wasn't as present as my brothers
Okay.
were my whole life. So it was really difficult.
big brothers,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Like, they turn into like dad kind of thing.
Yes.
And so like they attended like every daddy daughter dance. Like,
Aw, that's
they were
sweet,
very
though.
much like my protectors and honestly my best friends. Like, we were in a group chat and talk basically every single day.
Aw,
So
I
it's
love that.
very
Yeah.
hard for us to not be talking to each other. Like, we will
Right.
talk constantly if we can help it. But it was hard because at that time too, like, we didn't have
Aspire Counseling Services provides caring, personalized support for adults and teens facing mental health challenges. From group therapy to mindfulness, art, and even pet therapy, their programs are designed to help people feel better and build healthier habits. Teens can get the support they need while still keeping up with school and home life. You can reach Aspire at 888-585-7373.
have a great solid relationship, but we still had that like solid, okay, well, you're my brothers, you're still my best friends, like I want you to know that this is my person, like I'm 100%
Yeah.
for him and he's for me. But they didn't see it because
Right.
obviously like at that time too, like my brothers were both in very long-term relationships, like they've been with their spouses for such a long period of time that this whole marriage thing was really shocking to
Yeah.
everyone. And so, but with my husband, like I think he approached it very well. Like he had talked to my mom and my stepdad and my dad in regards to like, hey, this is the plan. This is what I want to do. And I
That's
do
nice.
want to marry
Yeah.
her, even being as young as we were, to even have that conversation without knowing
Yeah.
my family a whole lot. Like it was
Pretty
definitely,
brave
it
too,
is
you
brave.
know?
Like it was
Yeah.
super, like he had the gall and I was like, dude, like
Yes.
you, all the power to you, because honestly, like
Right.
I would have been terrified. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, I
Yeah.
don't even know if I could even speak to
Right. You're
anyone.
like,
Like,
so I'm
right.
gonna propose.
Right. And it was like super weird, but I mean, it worked out. I mean, we're here
Yeah.
now 13 years later, like,
That's
and for
awesome.
us to
Yeah.
be like establishing such young time, like, and growing up with each other, like, especially away from my own family, of like trying to find myself and like my own identity of who I wanted to be. And instead of, you know, all the pressure from my family
Right.
of like, oh, this is who you should be, was definitely like what I needed personally for my own growth. But it was hard because after they had left, when I had my son, like my mom and my mother-in-law came up after they had left. My dad had came up the following month, and it was just like
Okay.
a back-to-back like support, which I
Yeah.
loved. But I think I had relied on that so heavily when they were physically there with me that it was really hard to like reacclimate to just myself and my
Right.
husband and my baby. So it was really hard to kind of figure out a rhythm and figure out, okay, well, this is what how I want to raise the kid. And also at the same time too, like I definitely dealt with postpartum depression. And so I knew like going into that, like I had it, but I didn't know, like I growing up too, like I did deal with depression,
Okay.
but culturally as well, it's very taboo and very unheard of or unspoken about in regards to like, okay, this is what you have, like you have
Right.
depression, but it isn't necessarily something that anyone talks about culturally or in my family at all. Like they were never aware, like we just stuff our feelings
Right.
until like one of us blows up
Yeah.
essentially. And so my mom's always dealt with that, my brothers have, like it's very like underlying, but we all have some sort of form of depression. But for me it was definitely way more severe than I had initially like thought. So
Yeah.
it was very eye-opening when I was on a military base and they're like, hey, like, you know, you do have postpartum depression. You checked all the boxes. Like, let's go ahead and start, you know, either on medication or pursuing like
Yeah.
therapy, like
How
whatever, what.
how did you get to that point? Did you realize that you were kind of struggling
Oh
mentally a little
yeah.
bit?
Oh no, definitely. So luckily with like on posts, like military hospitals and everything, they're so good about checkups. So of course
That's
with
awesome.
the newborn, like you have to go through all of that like hospitalization of like, okay, well, let's check in like a month or 2 months or 3 months to
Okay.
see how the baby's doing, but also to see how you're doing. But they never
Right.
presented it that way. They always presented it as if it was more of a checkup for the baby rather than it was for myself. And so at the time, I didn't really think anything of it until they had sat me down and were like, well, this is what you checked marked. Literally, all of this points to postpartum. And so I never even knew
Like,
what that
oh,
was.
I didn't
Yeah, I was
realize.
like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I knew I had like some sort of depression, but never diagnosed for it. So it wasn't something that I was fully aware of at the time. And so when I ended up getting like the diagnosis, they're like, well, these are the routes that you need to take. And the only thing that I had issues with the military in regards to like pursuing therapy or psychiatry was very hard because everything there is more military affiliated, right? So it is very much like, oh, if you're going off to war or like going out off seas, like that is what they're more trained on versus like, okay, as a civilian, this is the civilian side of things that we struggle with. And even with moms, like even though they dealt with it for such a long period of time, and all the moms, a majority of the people on post suffer with postpartum depression, that it's familiar, but it's still hard for them to kind of deal with it because they talk to you as if you're like a soldier.
Yeah.
And so it was
Yeah.
really hard to see that because I did have therapy and also prescribed medication as well on post. But at the time, it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
So I had like taken Zoloft, Prozac, like all those medications that the military had prescribed me was not working whatsoever. And it wasn't something that was what I like needed at the time. And so they're like, okay, well, nothing that we're doing here is working for you. Like maybe you should consider off post therapy, off post, like seeing a doctor and seeing what they can prescribe you. Like if this isn't at all for you, like
Yeah.
at least we can refer you. And so I did get referred, but it did take like 2 or 3 different therapists and different psychiatrists to be like, hey, like try this medication and see, because for me therapy wasn't very big. Like again, coming from a very strict household, like we're very much bottling up our emotions. We don't really talk about all the feely feels.
Yeah.
Like we're very surface level, very like, oh, we love you. We'll say that often, but it's not like, okay, to what extent or what depth is that? So it's very surface level. So for me, when I had found my therapist at the time, he was absolutely wonderful.
That's
he
awesome.
was by far the best therapist I think I've had up until this point. But because of the fact that he also had my husband sit in on all my therapy sessions. And because I was very uncomfortable, one, he was a male, but secondly, too, it was just very hard for me to like be vocal. And I'm not really one to be a very vocal or communicative person. My husband is very communicative and very vocal.
Yeah.
So it was really great to see an opportunity of like, okay, well, I get to sit down and actually vocalize like what I'm actually feeling,
Right.
what's been going on, and for him to just sit and listen because he's not used to that. And so, and my therapist was very adamant about it too. He was like, well, your husband is allowed to sit, but he can't say anything. And he straight up told my husband that. And that for my husband is very difficult for
Yeah.
him to like
He wants to
stomach.
chime in a little
Oh my
bit,
gosh, he
yeah.
always wants to. But my therapist at the time was like, no, like, if she wants you to, like, she'll say it. Like, she will be vocal and she'll say it that she'll want you to participate. But other than that, dude, like, no, just sit back
listen.
and listen.
Yeah.
That's it. And that, like I said, is very hard for my husband. But I mean, through the years, he's gotten so much better about just asking versus like chiming in or even giving him his own input of, okay, this is what I think, she
Right.
feels, or this is what, she looks to me as, versus like, oh no, she vocalized to me that she's feeling X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So, and I think that for me was very, I guess, it put me more at peace and more reassured of like, okay, I can vocalize these things, especially growing up somewhere where I'm not even able to even say how I'm feeling, because you'll look to be weak, or you'll look to be like, oh, you're just whining or complaining or any of that kind of feeling. Like, it's not, oh, you're valid. Like, no, you're just
Right.
not allowed to basically feel what you're feeling. So, and that was really hard because moving back here, like, it was definitely different of, okay, I was so used to that therapist, and having to kind of, I guess, separate myself from that was like a breakup,
Yeah,
essentially. Like,
I
it
know,
was like
like,
a huge
I
breakup.
couldn't imagine, because like it does take, like you said, it takes a while to find a therapist that you actually finally feel comfortable with, and like sometimes you got to shop around a little bit.
For
kinda.
sure.
So like, yeah, to have to leave that, I'm sure that was super hard.
Oh, it was hard because for me, like, again, like, I don't necessarily tell everyone all of it until more recently of like my story and like what I've been through. But because I got permission from my therapist now and my therapist then of like, you're allowed, like, it's valid to like share that and share your truth, share your story, because
Right.
again, that's what you did. Like, that's what you went through. Like, you're allowed to do that and you're allowed to share that. Like, people are receptive to that. Cool. If they're not, so what? Like, it's
Yeah.
not anything else to them. Like, they can't invalidate how you lived your life or what you went through. Like, it's not realistic. Like, that's
Right.
not, you don't do that to them. And that's, I guess, what I needed to hear at the time too, of like, you can share these things, and being in a safe space of like, okay, I'm allowed to, and there isn't going to be any judgment. There isn't going to be any like pushback from that was what I needed
Yeah.
because I never had that growing up.
Yeah.
So, and at the time with Alaska, like I think being so secluded there to not really have like I did have a lot of friends, a lot of support and community, and I found the best babysitter ever who became family to us with my son. Like
awesome.
that I think helped me, but again, like being able to say, "Hey, I need help." Like I can't just do this by myself. Like that was a huge thing for me because again, too, like I'm always very like, "Oh, I'm independent. Like I can do this myself." Like I'm so stubborn and hard-headed to an extent that I won't ask for any help until it becomes very, very, very severe. And so when I ended up getting help, like even that was really great because of the fact that the support system that I had up there definitely is going to last a lifetime for me because I still talk to those people. Like I still keep tabs on them, even though we're all scattered across, the US. Like it's super nice to see like everyone doing their own thing, but to know that they helped raise my son and like to know that if I needed it last second, either to go to therapy or just because I could not take it anymore, like to have someone be there for me and with me was what I needed. Because again, like at the time, my husband would be gone months at a time. I didn't have anyone that I needed from family, but then friends up there became family. So,
absolutely.
and that's what I loved, I think, about the military for sure is like, even though you're secluded or away from your actual like bloodline or blood family, like to create a community and to create like a close knit group of people wherever you are is like something invaluable. So I'm like, I can't
Not
like,
a lot of people get
no,
to say
it's
that.
very much like that because it's really hard. Like it's so hard to like be somewhere that is so unfamiliar. And it was my first time ever moving. So
Right, yeah.
I never knew what to expect or what to do. Like that was hard. And then 9 months out of the year, like I mentioned, it's complete darkness.
Yeah.
So you're stuck at home with maybe an hour if you're lucky of sun. And that coming from a Bakersfield, Californian, like that's difficult. Like I need sunshine. I need that vitamin D. I
Seriously.
need something.
And like even like as a new first time parent, like it's freaking hard.
Yeah.
It's so freaking hard
It
to like
is.
adjust and get used to being a mom and like always having to tend to a new baby, you know.
Right.
It's like it's not just you anymore, you know. You have to take care of a kid and being alone a lot. Like it's freaking hard.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm sure like adding being alone or it being dark and then I'm
Right.
sure that all just like adds on top of it.
Exactly. And it's really sucky because with Alaska, like they're notorious for being really high on the suicidal rates. So that's just been something that like I definitely had seen a lot of. It was a lot of, okay, when I would almost get to that point, I visited the ER probably more times within the 4 years that I was there than I've ever like actually gone through. So it was really difficult because at a point in time, like the medication that I was prescribed from my therapist, who I found was phenomenal, it worked to an extent. Like there, of course, are going to be days and moments when I don't expect it, where I would feel and hit that really low point. And at that point in time, it would feel very out of body experience, as if I'm watching myself from like a different point of view and just kind of watching what I'm doing and not feeling anything. Like it was numbness to an extent, but it was more of like, I cannot even control my own body, and whatever happens, like happens. And so there were times like when my husband would be like, well, do we need to go to the ER? And I couldn't even say anything because I couldn't even vocalize that. But he picked up on my tells and picked up on my cues of like, okay, well, she certainly, when she gets to this point, she does need to go and visit an ER. So I would. And luckily on post, like with where we were housed at, it was like 2 minutes of a drive.
Okay.
So it wasn't far. So I was very fortunate to have that access of like, okay, well, whatever point in time, like if I need, like they always have someone on hand, like a psychiatrist on hand to have that conversation if in the event something happens or if they just need to be, for me anyway, to be watched for a moment, like just to make sure that nothing happens, like that was available to me as well. So
like in your perspective, it was like you said, kind of like an out of body experience. It was just kind of like how did you feel? Was it just kind of like you just didn't know what to do with yourself, kind of? Or
right.
like how did that feel?
So it was like I always try to put it into like the mindset of like your body's here, and if like your soul was taken out of your body, you'd literally be watching it from like that up here. Like you would be watching what your body's doing. So I wouldn't feel anything like
Yeah.
from any, even doing this, I wouldn't feel anything from that. I wouldn't feel like what's going on in my brain. Like it did shut off
Yeah.
completely. So that's like where I knew like, okay, this is really, really bad. Like this is my severe point of like, I'm watching what's happening, but I can't control anything
Right.
that's happening to my body physically. So it felt
Gotta feel
empty. Oh,
scary.
it is terrifying.
Yeah.
It is really scary. And for my husband too, because again, like he watched through the whole thing when he was able to. And when he was there at the time and being present in Alaska, like he had seen like the severity of it, because again too, like he would even try to have a conversation with me and I would not hear any of it. Like I couldn't even hear anything. I couldn't really talk. I couldn't see, like sometimes it would be blurry. Like it was
Yeah.
very, very, very scary.
And I'm sure it's like different for like him too when he's gone and you guys
Right.
are having these conversations maybe on the phone and stuff, and like I'm sure like yourself you can't explain to him as well
Right.
like your feelings and like this out of body experience.
Yeah.
But like when he's there he's like, "Oh, okay. I kind of get it. I need to help her."
Right. And for him too, I think it's like he didn't understand, right? Like he also grew up in the same kind of like mentality of, oh, well,
Okay.
you're not supposed to really show like if you're depressed or sad because that's a form of weakness, or if that's something that you talk about, it's not really existing. Like it's just not, it's not common for him either. So for him, he was unaware at the time. Like he didn't really know. He just thought I was sad. And so for him, like when he started sitting in my therapy sessions, like he actually finally got to see, okay, this is really what's going on internally. I can look out for these cues and I can look out for the clues of like, okay, well, she's kind of, spiraling, or if she's getting to that point, like I can either help her by telling her like, hey, do we need to go to the doctor? What can I do to help? And instead of trying to fix me, like he would ask those questions of like, what can I do to help you? What do you need? Versus like, we should do this or we should do that. Like
Yeah.
it was very much open ended for him because of the fact that he didn't understand. And he's always been really good about that. Like I said, like I'm really bad at communicating. He does all the talking. Like I can't do that. Like he taught me how to communicate properly. But because of the fact that he needed to know what was going on,
Right.
he had to force that and like kind of coax that out of me of like, okay, well, what can I do for you in this
Yeah.
situation right now? Not later, not
Yeah.
yesterday, like literally right now to
What do you
help
need?
you.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, I think that also brought me back down to earth a little bit of like more present and just being here
Right.
versus like, okay, now I'm like being out of body. Like, I'm not anywhere else other than I need to be right here in this moment because he's trying to bring me back. And
Right.
so that was really hard because again, too, like I didn't want him to feel burdened or feel like he had to do that. But again, too, he would always just, encourage that and encourage like, I want to help you. Like we got married, like this is what I want to do versus like, oh, I have to do that. Right.
Right.
Like it's more of like, he made it be very like, more peace of mind for me and just more of like, okay, I can do this because he's given me that safe space to do so. So I don't think that it would have gone really well if he would have been like, oh no, we should do this, we should do that. Like,
Right.
I don't think I would have been very receptive to that.
Yeah.
Like positively at all.
Yeah.
But I am honestly, because I am like, when I get to a certain point, I will shut down. Like my MO is shutting down when I get extremely frustrated, when I get upset, when I can't really put my words into sentences at all. Like it's very difficult for me sometimes when I'm at that point. And so he knows to like give me space, but he's learned that within this time that we've been together because for the longest, like he would always be like, oh, let me, fix that
Yeah.
right away. Like I want to
Yeah.
just fix it right now. Like let's have that conversation. Let's sit down. But he realized like it wasn't productive.
Yeah.
So
I love that like the therapist kind of involved him a little bit
Oh,
to
yeah.
give him the tools that he needs to also help you.
for sure.
Because like it isn't always just about us too. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we do need that support and we need our people to know how to support us. 'Cause
Right.
this is the first time they're in this space too, you
Right.
know? So I love that the therapist kind of brought him in to help too.
And I didn't know how, obviously, to like know how I could be supported. Like, I honestly didn't know how to vocalize that because it's very difficult for me to be like, oh, I want to be helped by just for you to sit there and listen to me, like vent for a little bit, right? Like, I don't want you to come up with some sort of resolution. Like, I want you to just sit and just listen. And that in itself was more than enough for him to be like, okay, yeah, I got it. Like, that's all that I needed to hear. And that's all that he wanted to hear. So I think that also opened my eyes to be like, oh, wow, like I am allowed to do this. Like, I can actually say these things without like him, you know, turning this into an argument or anything blowing up. Like, he wants to know what's going on. And I think that having that support and like him was super necessary, because even up until now, when we moved back from Alaska, like I said, like breaking up with my therapist was probably the hardest thing. And it took 3-4 different times again for me to find the one that I have now. But the one that I have now, it took a really bad like situation to happen. And so like during this time, what led up to it was I had lost my job during COVID. I was with the company in banking for like almost 6 years. And so it was very rough. Like, I was seeking like a career path out of it. Like, I was on the road to make this my full on career. Like, that was what I had planned. And obviously things happen and life happens and COVID happens. And I ended up getting laid off. I still at the time was working at a cycle studio in town.
Okay.
So I started like my fitness journey right when I came back to California. And it was back in 2019 when I started becoming an instructor. And so I started pursuing fitness in that route, because when I was also in Alaska, that was my way of coping and my way of like finding like, okay, this is what I needed physically in order to kind of combat the thoughts that were going in my head, or just kind of combat how I was feeling, so that it helped like very much what I was doing throughout the day. Like, I wouldn't be in like a slump or feeling those low points whatsoever. So when we came back 2021, around that time, 2022, after COVID, a little bit after COVID, my stepdad, who basically raised me with my brothers, passed away. And so that was really hard, like with him, because again, like I've known him since I was 5, and now being 31, like losing him within that time frame was really difficult. Like he helped me find my love for literature, helped me find my love for languages. Like he was just an absolutely the best role model and a dad that I could have ever had. And so like having him, like getting to that point of like, okay, well, he's no longer here, but like, thank the Lord, like he lived a really long life, like in his 80s. So he lived a long time, which was great. But again, like you could feel the hole that it had left in our family. And so it was really hard. And so that was kind of the start of like, okay, well, even my job, losing my job, like I started spiraling. And then from there, I ended up spiraling even more with my dad. And then after my dad's funeral, literally like 2 to 3 weeks, like my grandfather passed away. And it was really rough, because I think even more so traumatizing when my grandpa passed, because I was working a 9 to 5 at the time. So I ended up finding a new job with banking as well. And I ended up going to the hospice that was next door to where I was at. And that's where he was. And I was the only one there. And he ended up passing away when I was there. So it was really rough, because again, too, like when my mom wasn't in town and my stepdad wasn't able to watch me, or my brothers weren't able to watch me, my bio dad's side of the family, my grandparents were the ones watching me. So like I grew up in Delano too, partially, which is like my second home. So my grandparents basically raised me as well, like every other weekend. So being close to like my grandparents was like really hard. And I had lost my grandma several years ago, but to have lost my grandpa literally a few weeks after my dad's funeral was very, very rough. And like to be there.
I can't even imagine.
So, and it was hard.
Significant losses back to back.
And it was, and it wasn't really, it was one of those moments too, because again, like very seldom, I had a lot in my opinion, and I'm so beyond blessed to God for that, is I had a lot of really good male figures in my life. And I am so grateful to that, because I found that in my stepdad. I found that in my grandpa, found it in my brothers, and in my bio dad too. Like I definitely found that in all of them. And I'm very much grateful to have had that. But it definitely leaves like a huge dent in my life, that like I don't process grief really well. And so I don't necessarily react as good as I know I should. And so at the time, even with my husband, like I had called him when my grandfather passed away because the nurse had literally told me when I was in the room and I was having this conversation with my grandpa, I had heard him breathing. I heard him like, just sleeping. And then all of a sudden when I was there during my lunch break, like he had left. And so I just don't know. Like it ended up triggering just so much, in my opinion, of like, okay, I had lost my dad, lost my grandpa, and now I'm just like at a loss of
what
everything. Now what? Like I don't know how to deal with this properly. And so I had left the room a little bit while they were just taking care of him. I had to make my calls. I called my husband, literally bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, I cannot drive. Like I can't physically do anything. Like you're gonna have to pick me up. Like he literally passed away right in front of me. Then ended up calling my bio dad, and he was on his way from work to come and see my grandpa. And my aunt was too. And my aunt,
it's your dad's dad.
correct, it's my dad's dad. And so my aunt, who's also my dad's sister, was just there like a couple hours ago, and she was just running a quick errand. And she was like, I was just here. Like I literally had just seen him. He was breathing. He was sleeping, but he was breathing. And I'm like, yeah, like I don't know. All I told my grandpa when I was there, I was like, well, I'm here. Like, I hope you're not suffering anymore. Like, that's all that I want for him. And all of a sudden, like, he wasn't. So I just think like he needed like someone there before he had gone, but it was just really hard to be the one to get delivered the news. So,
and then it's like in that moment, sometimes I feel like it's like maybe he just needed to hear that too. Like, it's okay. I hope you're not like in any pain. You know what I mean? And it's bringing a lot of emotions to me because I actually had the same experience with my grandfather. I showed up with my dad and he passed away when we showed up too. And same thing, his wife or whoever was there before. And and so it's like, I know that feeling. It sucks, but at the same time, it's like, at least you can have some comfort knowing that they felt comforted, like that you're there with them,
Oh yeah, I definitely felt more at peace to know that he at least had someone there instead of just like no one, because everyone has been there. Like everyone kept visiting. Like he had always someone there with him in the days at the hospice center. So he had always had someone there physically with him. So my own thing though was just having to, I guess, rehash the whole situation again and again when all these family members started flooding in and like kind of making their way into like the room. And I think that was just kind of my tipping point, because within that time frame as well, after the funeral, my son's birthday was a couple weeks after, I basically like spiraled. And like this at this point was really my tipping of like, okay, I don't know what else I can do. Like, I don't know how to cope with all of this. Like, it's too much. Like, it's beyond too grave. And honestly, at this point too, I think my medication that I had for already several years just stopped working. So even that was really difficult. So at this point in time too, in between everything, post my son's birthday, we had moved already a couple other times. I was living with my brother. And it wasn't until like one night, my husband ended up finding me in the bathroom and I tried to kill myself. And so it was really one of those like really low points. Cause again, too, like I was out of body experience, right? So I couldn't necessarily control what I was doing, but it was happening. And so he had rushed in the bathroom because he was like, okay, she's taking a really long time. Like, what's going on? So he ended up finding me and he's like, we have to go. And it's like, he's like, at this point, he's like, I'm not asking, like, we're going. And so he had taken me to the hospital. I had done the whole checklist thing. At this point, it's like still a little bit blurry. Like a lot in the last several years has come back to me since then, but it was still very hard because when I'd gone to the ER, they had me on surveillance for another, like literally 24 hours. So I couldn't have anything. I couldn't have my phone, couldn't have any articles of clothing, really just like in a gown in the middle of the hospital ER, like just sitting there and bawling my eyes out, freaking out. Like I didn't know what was happening. And so
in that time, are you alone too? Do they let your husband be with you?
So they can't let him in. Like they weren't even allowed to like let him inside to see me. But like they were like, dude, like you just need like help. Like we're just going to keep you there. Like if it's something that you want, you need, like you do look like you need it. Like this is the severest like it's ever been. And like honestly, with all the chain of events that had happened leading up to that point, like he didn't know what else he could have done because
Yeah.
he's done everything. Like he always asks, he always makes sure that I'm okay. But at this point in time, he's like, I can't say that, you know, if I were to have left you alone again, like what you would have done if this, you could have died. Like there was a point where you were almost, but that was an almost, and I don't want to risk it a second time. So for him, like it wasn't until the 24 hours, like they were able to get me to talk to a social worker. And when they had let me go in order to go transition from the hospital to the behavioral health hospital, he was able to take me. So my husband made sure, like he was the one that took me. We took our time, like getting there, making sure I had everything that I needed. And so I was at the behavioral health hospital for about a week. And so at that time, like I had met my therapist now. Absolutely love him. He's wonderful, like very great, super direct, and I think very casual. So for me, I can't deal with like very like uppity or like super professional. Like I can do professional to an extent, but if it's something very personal to me, I need that casualness. I need the realness. I need someone to talk to me like a human being and not like a client.
Just a doctor.
Or yeah, I can't do it.
You're like, I want to be on your same,
Exactly.
you to be on my same level and talk to me like a normal person.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like, and I'm totally okay. Talk to me like a kid too. I don't care. Like at this point in time, just talk to me like a normal person because I can't deal with this. I don't know how. And I had told my therapist when I was in the hospital, I'm like, I just need better medication and I need a therapist and I need to know how to deal with this. Like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I just can't function properly. I can't think. I can't operate as a person anymore. Like, I just don't know what else to do. I'm worn thin. Like, there's just too much. And so he had definitely listened and made sure like every single day that I was at the hospital, like, hey, are you good? Like, do you need anything? Making sure that I was checked in properly. And he was super hands-on. And so even now, so like he always knows like the best questions to ask and like knows how to approach me versus like someone else that I've tried, and I've met so many different therapists and psychiatrists here in Bakersfield and even the teledoctors, and everything with that had not worked out for me. Like I had jumped through so many different people and it was just unhelpful. Like very much like not what I needed. I just needed someone who would talk to me for 20 minutes. Like I don't need a lengthy time. I don't need an hour. I don't need to sit there for like a long period of time doing nothing. Like I just need to tell you what's going on in my life. And if that's it, I just need to be validated. And like, he knows, like my therapist knows that for me to cope with my mental is to just be busy, like constantly be doing something, whether it be pouring myself into my family or pouring myself into what I do, like fitness oriented. So even up until now, like I've used since my hospitalization, because it's been 4 years, officially actually the beginning of this April. So it was just one of those things that I was like, wow, like this is a sign. It's like a godsend of like, it's your time to kind of bring up the story again, like to share that, because it's definitely something that I've seen 4 years of growth. And honestly, this has been the healthiest and happiest I've been forever. Like even in Alaska, even though I've had that much help, like I still dealt with it very heavily. But again, like my therapist, my psychiatrist, phenomenal. Like they were so hands-on and always readily available. But to lead up to this point of like, okay, this is now I know, and I have the resources, I have the tools on like how I can cope better. It's made a huge difference in my growth, and like being able to pour that back into what I do. Fitness side of things has been really great, because I definitely use that as like a form of like, hey, like people, you do things physically, but if you're not able to also help yourself like mentally, then what are you doing? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Like if you're not working out to just, to just work out, like that's not really productive. That's not really helpful in the long term. Like you need to find something that also challenges you mentally, that also helps you like get out of that mindset of like being low, because we don't deserve that. Like, there will be times when we get to that point, but it's also like, how are we coping with it? How are we dealing with it? Like we can't just sit and wallow. And sometimes, maybe we do. But if we're doing that for such a long period of time, from what I've even experienced, like it's not going to help me. Like I will go weeks if I could help it with like sleeping hours in a day. Like I will sleep a whole day away. If it was up to me past then, like I would totally do that. But for right now, like to find my own outlet in that regard
Yeah.
has like been such a huge shift and change for me. So,
And that in itself is huge growth to
Right.
be able to like know if you're starting to feel a certain way, like, okay, I'm going to go do this, go work out or
Right.
whatever it is, just to kind of clear my head a little bit. And I feel like even like, I mean, I would at one point just go take my son for a walk. Okay. I just
Right.
need a new, like, a new view, you know what I mean? Just clear my mind a little bit. And then after it's like, okay, even something so simple like that, like just helped me even just relax a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also important to just kind of have some time to yourself too, to kind of reflect and yeah.
Yeah, just be present with yourself.
Yeah.
Like
And
just
it looks different for everyone.
right. It does. So,
Yeah. So I guess continuing like with your you're an instructor, right?
correct.
Yeah. So then this was kind of like your outlet. So how did that look after all of, I mean, I guess after getting out of the hospital and stuff like that, and you were like working on yourself more, how did that play into your mental health?
So that
I mean, I know we kind of just talked on
right.
it,
No,
but
you're
like,
good. It's a very much like it definitely impacted me more and encouraged me more, I think, to pursue it and to know that this was what I needed to do and my direction and my career path. Because, like I told you, my whole mindset of my career back then was like being in banking for such a long time, doing that and pursuing that. But I was also a spin instructor also at the time, too. So I definitely did both. But it wasn't something, oh, I did that for fun and I pursued that as a career. But now this is my career of trying to like, okay, implement what I've learned in the mental health area side of things and to apply it to my classes. And
Right.
so within like the last 4 years, I always dedicate for May, for the month of mental health awareness, I always dedicate at least one class to bring up and bring awareness to mental health. And it's been like an every year kind of thing for
I
me.
love that,
So
yeah.
even next month, the owner of Pilates bar and I are kind of planning right now an event that's going to be happening in May in regards to just mental health. So we're hoping to get NAMI out there, to also get Aspire out there as well, in order to have someone talk and like bring resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's always been something that's that I'm very passionate about, because again, I want to make sure that like we're breaking that barrier of like, oh, am I not allowed to talk about this, or am I allowed to talk about it? Like, I want some people out there to know, like, yeah, growing up without being able to speak about it was hard. Like, oh, you're just being sad. So, wipe your tear, like put on your big girl pants and just keep going. Like, yes, you can do that to an extent, but like also you're allowed to talk about what you're feeling and how
Right.
you're feeling and what's going on in your brain, because again, too, like no one's going to know unless you say something. And then before you know it, what if it becomes so severe? And for me, I want to definitely take that preventative measure and just be able to nip that in the bud as soon as I can, just so that, what if I can prevent that? Because again, being in that spot of like almost is very scary.
Yeah.
And it's like, you never know what's going to happen with the almost. It could have happened and I wouldn't be here today, like because of it.
Right.
But again, too, like people don't have that. I guess they don't know or have the resources to do that. So I always try to make it apparent, like every time, one time at least in May, of like bringing someone out to talk about it, bringing resources. And even within that 4-year time frame as well, like I, through Kern County Behavior Health, I was nominated for like Trailblazer of mental health advocacy.
Oh, that's
and I
awesome.
was definitely like something on that line. And for me too, it was more of like, wow, like I had shared my story when it had happened, but I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, well, I'm just sharing it because I use Instagram as a blog. Like that's usually what I do. And so if it resonates with people, cool. If it doesn't, like I just want people to be more aware about it or even talk about it.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if you're talking about it negatively, if you're talking about it positively, as long as you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Like it's more than enough for me, because again, something is going to be planted in someone's head
Right.
of like, okay, there are ways of dealing with this. Because again, it's life. Like, we're not going to live a perfect life. Things in life are going to happen. And if in today's climate shows as well, like, it's getting hard. Like, and it's hard for people to talk. It's hard for people to deal with everything all at once. And so again, like, if we at least have those resources to utilize, like, why not? Like, they're there. Like, you should use it, if anything. Like,
and it's just like, I mean, really just breaking, like you said, breaking that stigma of just like not being able to talk about it. And I feel like we're kind of in this new like era of like, okay, we can talk about our feelings, and there's communities of people that feel the same way as you do. You know, like excuse me. Like, I was in like a grief group, you know, and like that made me feel like so much more like validated as like a widow. And, you know, I'm not the only like young widow, you know. And so even like talking about mental health and like what helps you to kind of like get through, that's a different type of group. But like, you feel like you can connect to other people.
Definitely.
And it really helps you to feel like you're just not alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is at the end of the day. Because again, when you reach that certain point, you feel alone. Like, you don't feel like anyone's for you. Everyone's against you. Like, there's no one else that's going to understand what you're going through.
Possibly
right.
know.
Like, life is perfect for everyone. Like, no, honey, like, that's not realistic.
Every single person has a struggle. I know it looks different for everybody, but every single person has something they're struggling with.
Exactly.
So let's all just talk about it.
Right. Like, why is it so hard?
There's
like,
no
I
reason
don't
to hide it.
Exactly.
Like, and that is, you know, I say this every time. That's the reason why we have this podcast, because as much as there's uncomfortable things, that's what people need to hear to hopefully improve or hopefully help someone else make it through.
Right.
You know? And so, yeah, I commend you for coming and sharing your story, because I know that that's just super hard.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me look at my questions now. I haven't even looked down.
You're
actually.
good.
This is a paid message from Amelia Malloy's Angels. Did you know that 1 in 6 couples struggle with infertility, often facing emotional stress and the high cost of treatments? That's where Amelia Malloy's Angels, a nonprofit organization, steps in. Serving Kern County since 2022, Amelia Malloy's Angels provides family grants, comfort kits, and monthly support groups that bring hope, financial assistance, and spiritual care to couples who need it. If you would like to support families walking through infertility, you can become an Angel of Hope with a minimum monthly gift of $25, join their prayer team, or sponsor or host a monthly support group. Visit their website at www.ameliamalloysangels.com. Like, conversation was just good, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, all of this, okay. Made it through all of this. Gosh, you speak so well too.
Oh
by
my
the
gosh,
way.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no, it's
I was
been
like
really
freaking
good.
out all day.
The questions, just in case, you know.
Just in case, but
Thank
yeah,
you.
I'm like, I literally was on the first one, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't even have to look at all.
Probably the closing question.
Yeah, I think. Okay, yeah, here. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, okay, hang on. I don't know which one I'm gonna. I guess because you're are you doing some like advocacy stuff? Is that what you spoke about?
So I did a lot.
You were,
so I
okay.
am very much like doing more of the mental health advocacy with what I'm doing now, like physical fitness side of things.
Okay.
Even a year after, I even forgot to mention this, but a year after my hospitalization, I participated in the awareness for suicide walk that was here in Bakersfield, and it's held every year in October. I haven't participated it since then, but I do plan on definitely getting back into into it, just because it's definitely something, again, more personal to me and more, I guess, like, it's just very different compared to, okay, mental health awareness, right? Like mental health awareness is very all encompassing, but to prevent suicide and bringing awareness to suicide is something far different. And it is very personal, more so to my family as well, not just because of me, but with my husband. Like he's he's a veteran. So he's witnessed a lot of his people who've committed suicide. And it's been a lot more frequent within the last several years. And like, I'm getting emotional because to see him have to like kind of deal with that is really hard because again, it's one when he deals with it with me, right? Like I already feel that for him, but to see him suffering because of the fact that his people have suffered to the point where they couldn't even get the help that they needed because of just the military side of things are just so difficult in regards to like assessing that right away and being able to help properly because it's to them, it's very cookie cutter and just very much, okay, you're going to just talk to someone who's a therapist that deals with PTSD, but it's not necessarily PTSD that this one soldier might have an issue with.
Right.
Like it could be something completely different, but they all do one thing for the soldiers that deal with different stuff.
Yes.
So I think that for me is just very much why I would why I do it is because again, personal to me, but personal to my family as well.
Yeah. So it's like multiple reasons for that. And, I feel on that so much too because my late fiance Kyle, he was also in the military, and so I saw him deal with that too. He would be so sad and like I had another friend commit suicide, and he just struggled a lot with that too. And it's like I wish that they could get better help,
right?
More what's it called, specific help to them rather than just a broad spectrum.
Exactly. Because it's not like they make it seem like it's so general and very like just generalizing every single soldier. And it's like, that's not real. Like they all deal with it very differently, right? Like we're all different people, again, different branches as well, deal with so many different things.
Right.
So it's like, you can't just assume that they're going to deal with this the same way everyone else does. Like it's not fair to them, and they do deserve more help than they've ever gotten. So it's hard to see it. So but
well, I'm proud of you for even doing that, because I know that that's hard, and but I'm glad to see you doing it for yourself and for your husband too.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can end with our questions.
Okay.
I mean, usually we just kind of end with a last piece of advice, anything that you would give anyone else that's kind of been like in your shoes.
I think to not dwell on the tomorrow, because it has itself to worry about. Like we just need to be, I guess, more present. Being here in the now and living here in this moment is by far what I've been living with all the time. And I always go back to like biblically and like Bible verses as well that have helped me. But it's also just more about, again, just staying here now. And again, too, like, don't hesitate. Don't wait till it's too late to reach out for help. Like whoever it is, even a stranger, like, or even me, like I'm here, like, please reach out to me. Like I know so many people. I know a lot of like the resources and who to call for whatever at this point. Like it's been hard. And for anyone else who's struggling or who's in my shoes, like I just know that you need someone to know that you are seen and you are heard and your feelings are valid. And no one can take that away from you. Like it's your truth, and you should stand firm in that no matter what it looks like. So, and that's basically what I would say. So,
well, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. And I'm proud of you. I know I don't know you personally, but your story is like, I know that's tough, and I'm proud of your success after.
Thank you, Jory. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yay.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, that was really good. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much for coming to share.